What is this?
There are some kinds of love that protect you, and there are some kinds of love that imprisons you. Growing up, everyone envied our family. We lived in a beautiful mansion in Lagos. We had expensive cars parked outside. We attended the best schools. We wore nice clothes. We never lacked food. We traveled during holidays to any country of our choice. My father made sure we had everything. As a matter of fact, he made sure we lacked nothing. Everything except freedom. My name is Abosede Akinyemi. I was the last child among 3 daughters. My elder sister, Tenny, was 30 years old. Calm, responsible, and soft-spoken. The second, Bisola, was 28 years old. Funny, bold, and the type that said whatever entered her mind. And then there was me. I was 25. Daddy loved us too much. At least, that was what we believed. Every birthday, he would organize celebrations, buy gifts, take us to expensive restaurants, and tell us how special we were. He would smile and say, "My princesses, don't let anybody pressure you. This house is your house." We used to smile. We thought it was being caring, but my mother wasn't smiling. So one afternoon, she sat quietly in the sitting room while looking at pictures on her phone. Daddy entered. "What happened?" he asked. My mother looked at him. "My friends are becoming grandmothers." Daddy laughed. "So?" She looked at him seriously. "Tenny is 30 years old." Daddy sat down. "So?" "Bisola is 28. He shrugged. "And so?" "And Amara is 25. Daddy looked away. "Marriage isn't a competition," he said. And my mother stared at him. "Or maybe you simply don't want them getting married." The room suddenly became quiet. Daddy smiled. But this time, the smile didn't reach his eyes. "No man deserves my daughter," he said. And that was the end of the conversation. But it wasn't the end of my mother's worries. The strange thing was that men used to come around, and some men, successful men, responsible men, but somehow they always disappeared. One proposed to Tenny. 2 days later, he suddenly stopped calling. Another liked Bisola. After 1 week, he vanished. One even blocked me after telling me I was the woman of his dreams. It became a family joke. Bisola would laugh and say, "Maybe village people are following us." We laughed. We didn't know we were joking about the truth. One day, I resumed my new job. That was where I met David. He wasn't rich, he wasn't flashy, but he was different. Very different. The first day we spoke, I accidentally dropped some files. As I bent to pick them up, another hand reached down. I looked up. He smiled. "You always scatter things like this?" And then I laughed. "You don't even know me." He smiled again. "No, but I know you smile with your eyes." I don't know why, but my heart skipped. Slowly, we became friends. Friendship became late night calls. Late night calls became love. For the first time in my life, I felt happy in a different way. But I was afraid, very afraid, because I knew Daddy. So when I finally gathered courage and told him someone wanted to see him, everything changed. Daddy looked at me slowly. "Oh." I swallowed. "His name is David." Daddy became quiet. Very quiet. Too quiet. And then he stood up. Bring him. David came the next day. He greeted respectfully. Daddy stared at him. So you want to marry my daughter? David nodded. Yes, sir. Daddy smiled. The smile frightened me. Later that evening, Daddy called David privately outside. I secretly watched from upstairs. Daddy handed him an envelope. David looked confused. Even from where I stood, I could tell there was money inside. Loads of money. Daddy said something. David looked shocked. He shook his head. Daddy brought another envelope. David shook his head again. Then Daddy became desperate. I had never seen him look like that before. David eventually walked away. Daddy stood there sweating. That night, he looked terrified. Not angry, terrified. For days, he barely ate. He barely slept. He kept staring at us strangely. Then something happened. Something that changed everything. Bisola was looking for some documents in Daddy's room, and she later said she noticed something under the bed. A red wooden box. Old. Strange. She became curious. Daddy was not around, so she pulled it out. She opened it. Then she screamed. We ran upstairs immediately. I still remember what I saw. Hundreds of folded handkerchiefs, old photographs, hair strands, strange symbols, and our names written repeatedly. The room suddenly felt cold. Bisola was shaking. What is this? She shouted. Daddy entered. Immediately he saw the box. The color left his face. Nobody spoke. Then suddenly, Daddy started crying. I had never seen my father cry before. Not once, not ever. He sat down slowly, and then he told us the truth. Years ago, before the wealth, before the mansion, before the cars, we were poor, very poor. Daddy said we lived in a tiny, leaking house. Rain entered through the roof. Sometimes there was no food. Sometimes we slept hungry. He said one day, all three of us were sent home from school because school fees weren't paid. He said he watched us crying from hunger, and that broke him. So one evening, his friend Kunle came. Kunle told him he knew someone that could help, so Daddy followed him. He said they entered a strange shrine, and there, an old man brought out a red box. Daddy asked, "What do I need to sacrifice?" The old man smiled. "No blood." Daddy felt relieved. "Oh, thank goodness." Then the old man said, "As long as your daughters remain yours, wealth stays with you." Daddy looked confused. The man continued, "The day they belong to another man, your fortune goes with them." Daddy said he was desperate. He wasn't thinking, so he accepted. Then every birthday, after taking us out, after wiping food from our mouth with handkerchiefs, he secretly kept them. Because according to the ritual, anything carrying traces of us maintained the connection. Daddy looked at us with tears. I wanted to stop many times. And my mother stared at him in disbelief. "You used your own children?" Daddy cried harder. "I did it because I didn't want her suffering again." I couldn't breathe. Everything started making sense. The disappearing suitors, his fear, his obsession, everything. Then suddenly my phone rang. David. I froze. because there was something Daddy didn't know. 3 weeks earlier, David and I had secretly gotten married in the court. We rented people to act as parents. I was tired. I didn't want to become 40 while waiting for permission that would never come. And there was something else. I was pregnant. When I finally told everyone, Daddy looked like someone whose soul had left his body. "No!" He shouted. "No." And then he whispered. Suddenly, the light started flickering. His phone began ringing non-stop. 1 call, 2 calls, 3 calls. Business partners withdrawing. Contract cancelled. Investments failing. Money disappearing. Daddy started bleeding from his nose. And then he collapsed. My mother screamed. We rushed him to the hospital and days later, he survived. But almost everything was gone. The mansion was sold. Cars disappeared. Businesses collapsed. But strangely, peace entered our family for the first time. Months later, we gathered in our smaller home. Not mansion, just a normal house. Simple food, simple laughter, simple peace. Daddy carried my baby in his arms. Tears filled his eyes. "I am sorry," he whispered. Then he looked at us. For the first time in a long time, his love no longer looked like a prison. And that's when I understood something. When desperation leads you to darkness, the reward may look beautiful at first, but darkness always comes back to collect. Because wealth built on fear cannot stand forever. And no matter how long it takes, justice always comes, faith conquers darkness, and real love never chains people. Real love sets them free. If you like this story and what I talk about, kindly do well to like, subscribe to this channel, and do well to leave a comment behind.